Being a pro wrestler is one of the hardest professions that exists. From time to time, the nature of the wrestling industry can have negative effects on a wrestler's physical or mental well-being. It's really important during these difficult periods that wrestlers who are struggling seek help in any way they can, and this usually means stepping back from the wrestling world for a short time. But which wrestlers were they? Well, join us now as Wrestlelamia looks at 10 WWE wrestlers who stopped wrestling to get help. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Number 10. Nia Jax. Mental health is just as important as physical health, and wrestlers have been prone to struggle with mental health related issues over the years. More recently, Nia Jax took some time away from WWE as she was struggling with her mental health. She believed that time away from the WWE would allow her to rest up and battle any demons which were in her head. Rather shockingly, during this time, WWE decided to release her while she was on a break. This has been a move which has received widespread criticism from fans online, as it was seen as kicking Nia while she was down. Number 9. Goldust. Goldust, or Dustin Rhodes as he's now known in AEW, has had a documented struggle with alcohol and drug abuse during his career. During his time in TNA as Black Reign, Goldust would be taking up to 70 pills a day, and he knew that if he didn't take a step back from wrestling and get help, it wouldn't end well. Goldust entered into a WWE-sponsored rehab center, and amazingly, he has been sober for the past decade. Goldust would go into detail in relation to what made him get the help he needed so badly on the AEW Unrestricted podcast. He revealed, "I was very bad into drugs and alcohol for a good chunk of 4 or 5 years. It got really terribly bad. I did not care about life. I did not care about my daughter. I did not care about anything except drinking and taking pills and doing cocaine. That's all I cared about, and it got really bad. I had a 3-day binge and I could not snap out of it. It scared me. That was my rock bottom." He continued on saying, "WWE has the wellness program. They got me the next day. I loaded up on drugs and alcohol going into rehab. I got out of rehab 30 days later and I never turned back. It's almost 12 years from the day I got out of rehab. Dad would call me every day to make sure I was working on my program. I went to an AA meeting for 2 years straight every single night. Every phone call would end up with him saying he's proud of me." Number 8. Shawn Michaels. And during the 80s and 90s, HBK used to be one of the biggest pill takers in the entire WWE, and when he retired from WWE in 1998 following a back injury, this gave him a legitimate reason to take them. Michaels needed urgent help following his departure, or he was going to end up in serious harm. HBK eventually had surgery in 1999 which healed his back, but he still had a lot of demons. According to Jim Ross, HBK was going to return to WWE in 2001, but he was still not quite there mentally and physically and needed serious help. HBK actually received the help that he needed from an unlikely source. According to him, he found God, and one faithful day he decided that he wasn't going to take pills or drink alcohol anymore, and amazingly, he stuck to that promise. He would return to WWE in 2002 and would wrestle for the next 8 years at the top of his game. Number 7. Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle has been open with fans over the years as to why he left the WWE in 2006. He was in incredibly bad shape and he urgently needed time away from wrestling. Angle had developed a pill addiction during this time and he was on a downward trajectory that was not going to end well. WWE Chairman Vince McMahon wouldn't even allow Angle to have the time off to get the help he needed, and this resulted in him leaving the WWE and wouldn't return until 2017. Angle made the decision to join TNA, and this would give him a better travel schedule, and in turn it would give Angle the appropriate time to rest up and get the help he needed. The jump to TNA didn't immediately fix things for Angle, as he still had issues with drugs and alcohol, and he would seek the help he needed during this time in TNA. He would enter a rehab center in 2013, which worked wonders for him, as in 2021 Angle announced that he was now 7 years sober. Number 6. Big Cass. Mental health can impact anyone of any size, and Big Cass suffered from serious mental health issues during his time in WWE. He revealed that he struggled with his drinking and that there were times that he wished he could go to sleep and never wake up. After leaving WWE, Cass would perform a few independent dates before taking a step back from wrestling to get the help he needed. On a video released on the DDP Yoga YouTube channel, Cass would state, "Whatever it is, you need to go seek help. Whether it's medication or taking therapy or whatever it is you need to get it, because hiding it deep down isn't going to work. That's what I did for a long time, and eventually, pop, it's just an explosion. Whatever you need to do to fix it, make sure you do that, because keeping that shit bottled up deep down, it ain't worth it. From someone that lived it, seek help. Thankfully, Cass got the help he needed and is now enjoying a run in Impact Wrestling as one of their top heels. Number 5, Jake the Snake Roberts. The issues that Jake the Snake Roberts had with alcohol and substance abuse is well known by fans. His struggles were well documented in the infamous movie Beyond the Mat, and unfortunately, he struggled to get clean for the majority of his career. In 2012, he was at the lowest he's ever been, and he knew that he needed to step back from the wrestling world and seek help. Although Jake had been down this road a ton of times before, this time it was different. Jake was going to move in with DDP and he would literally save the wrestling legend's life. This would all be documented in an acclaimed documentary titled The Resurrection of Jake the Snake. Amazingly, despite a few relapses, Jake has been sober for almost a decade, and this has led him to getting a full-time role in AEW where he manages Lance Archer on AEW television. Number 4, Scott Hall. According to Stephanie McMahon, nobody has entered a WWE-sponsored rehab center more than Scott Hall. Hall has struggled throughout his adult life with drugs and alcohol, and his addiction truly impacted his life and career in every possible way. It was clear by the time 2013 came around that rehab wasn't going to work. Hall was still taking wrestling bookings for signings and events. This shouldn't have been his focus. Hall was seemingly headed for an early grave, and there was nothing anyone could do about it. But similarly to Jake Roberts, this was when DDP stepped in. He allowed Hall to stay at his residence and get the help he needed. This actually worked for Hall, as the company of Dallas and Jake and the appropriate support made Hall go back on the right track. Since his stay with DDP, Hall has made a number of major appearances on WWE television, including a special appearance at WrestleMania 31 as part of the NWO. Number 3, Sasha Banks. In the aftermath of WrestleMania 35, Sasha Banks decided to take a leave of absence from WWE. During this time, there were rumors surrounding why Sasha wanted to take time away from the squared circle, but she eventually confirmed that her depression was taking over. Whilst discussing her time off from the WWE on Stone Cold Steve Austin's Broken Skull sessions, the former WWE Women's Champion revealed, "Depression was taking over, my mind was taking over, my thoughts were taking over. This place was bigger than me, and I really lost myself because for a good 7 years I didn't even hear my real name. I didn't hear Mercedes anymore. All I heard was Sasha Banks. And traveling on the road, we only got 2 days off, so I'm home, not seeing what my real hair looks like. All I see is purple hair every single day. There were so many things that I let control me. I was looking in the mirror and I was looking in my eyes and I lost all the light in it. I couldn't even look at myself. I didn't even know who the hell I was. I was going into work, how angry I was, how sad I was. I was not the person that I dreamt to be. It hit the fan and I wanted to make sure that I didn't lose myself." As Sasha Banks eventually returned to television to begin a rivalry with Becky Lynch. Since her return, she hasn't missed a beat, and she would even make Night 1 of WrestleMania 37 alongside Bianca Belair. Number 2, Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns shocked the world in 2018 when he came out on Raw and announced that his leukemia had unfortunately returned. Reigns was Universal Champion at the time, and he was going to be forced to surrender the title and take a major step back from wrestling until his recovery. Reigns received unanimous support and love from the fans and other talent who praised his courage in telling the entire world about his cancer. Reigns would take around 4 months away from television, eventually returning in February 2019 to announce to the live crowd that his cancer was in remission and he was able to come back to the squared circle once again. And number 1, Jon Moxley. In November of 2021, it was announced by AEW President Tony Khan that former AEW World Champion Jon Moxley would be entering a rehabilitation program for alcohol addiction. Moxley entering the program meant that he would be taking some time away from television, and this was no doubt a tough decision for Moxley to make, as he was and continues to be one of AEW's biggest stars. Fans and other wrestlers from both WWE and AEW were extremely quick to share their support for Moxley, who is taking the right step forward for the benefit of his health and well-being. Since Moxley entered the program, it appears as if he's doing much better. Tony Khan appeared on the Dan LaBartard show just a few weeks after Moxley began his recovery program, and he went into detail into how he's doing. He revealed, "I talked to Renee today, we've been checking in and she's just moved from Las Vegas to Cincinnati and she's doing really well. It's a great update that Jon is doing better every day. I've been asking her constantly, checking in, and I'm glad to hear that because I love him so much and we missed him a lot."
I was on top of the world, and then it all just came crashing down real fast. And that's how this business is.
Well, there you have it, folks. 10 WWE wrestlers who stopped wrestling to get help. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.